Hi there. Hi, thanks for joining today. Today we're going to talk about how to deal with a micromanager. So we've all had that experience, right? The helicopter boss that has to be copied on every email and have every detail on every project on a daily basis. Well, I'm going to give you a scenario that hopefully you guys can identify with. But first, if you don't know me, I'm Caroline Castrillon. I'm the founder of Corporate Escape Artist. I'm a business and life coach that helps people escape their 9-to-5 jobs so that they can find fulfillment working for themselves. So how to deal with a micromanager. Let's pretend that your boss's name is Bob. And Bob needs to be copied on every email. He wants details on all of your projects on a daily basis. He's never happy with deliverables. In fact, he's constantly telling you what to do, not only what to do, but how to do it. And then you begin to wonder, why is Bob so in the weeds? Why isn't Bob focusing on more high-level strategic projects? And so understandably, you and your team feel frustrated and demotivated because you feel like, well, if Bob hired us, he should trust us to do our jobs and trust in our abilities to get the job done. So have you had that experience? Have you had a Bob in your life? I think I hear a resounding yes, and I definitely have. So I'm going to give you some tips and strategies on how to deal with the Bob in your life so that you can have a more fun and fulfilling work life. But first, you want to understand where Bob is coming from. What is motivating Bob to be a micromanager? So what you need to understand is Bob is operating from a place of fear, and there's different types of fear that he could be experiencing. One study actually revealed that micromanagers have a fear of losing power. And actually, the more powerless they felt, the more they mistrusted their workers. A second type of fear is fear of failure. So Bob is likely under a lot of pressure from senior management to perform, and that's causing him to feel like he needs to micromanage his team. A third type of fear is fear of letting go of their old job. So Bob was probably a great individual contributor, but the activities and the behaviors that made him a great individual contributor aren't making him a great manager. So he's having difficulty making that transition to management. And a last type of fear is fear of being disconnected. So as managers rise in the ranks and they start feeling more isolated, more apart from the day-to-day activities, and so they feel like they have to get more in the weeds and get involved in the small daily aspects of those tasks. So those are some types of fear that your manager could be experiencing that could be making them a micromanager. And so once you understand that, we can develop strategies to help us deal with them. And so the first thing you want to do, though, to be fair, is take a look at yourself first. Make sure it's not something that you're doing that's causing your manager to feel like they have to micromanage you. So take a look at your attitude, your behavior, your productivity. Are you staying on top of deadlines and projects? Are you, just make sure that you're not procrastinating maybe on some mundane tasks. Whatever it is, just rule out that you might be doing or not doing something that's causing your manager to feel like they need to micromanage you. And if you can rule that out, then you can move on to these other strategies that I'm going to outline for you. The first one is feel empathy. You want to feel empathy and look at your manager through that lens because they're probably under a lot of pressure from senior management to perform and deliver results. So that'll help you to be less judgmental. And then you want to establish clear goals, especially if your manager is giving you unclear expectations. You want to establish clear goals and priorities from the outset so that there's no confusion. You want to sit down with them and agree on what success looks like because that's going to prevent them from coming in later to make corrections. And then you want to over-communicate because your manager already wants to know every detail of your project. So maybe set up some sort of a process, like a quick daily email that you can send at the end of each day with some bullet points, just outlining, the status of your current projects. That way you're showing that you're being proactive and you can maybe head off any last-minute requests for information. And then you want to touch base frequently. You want to set up frequent one-on-ones with your manager in person so you can give them updates on your projects, and that makes them feel like they can sort of put their stamp of approval on your projects, and it makes them also feel like they're part of the decision-making process. And then you want to understand their pain points, because if you can understand their pain points, like maybe your manager has a particular PowerPoint template that they like you to use, or a special format that they like the reports, formatted in, or whatever it is. Understand their pressure points so that you can avoid them. That will instill confidence in you, and it'll help your manager feel like they can back off a little bit. And then you want to anticipate their feedback. Micromanagers are very predictable. So if you can anticipate their feedback, you can incorporate that up front into your projects. And again, that's going to instill confidence. They're going to feel like they can back off a little bit, and it's just going to make your workday go more smoothly, and it'll show that they can trust you. And then the last thing I would say is speak up, because most micromanagers don't even know what they're doing or what effect it's having on their teams and the organizations as a whole. So don't be afraid to speak up in an appropriate scenario, like a one-on-one, for example, when you're meeting with them in person, and let them know how you feel. And I would suggest that you structure it this way. When you do X, it makes me feel like Y. So for example, when you tell me what to do and how to do it, it makes me feel like you don't trust me. And if you frame it that way, if they're a good manager, they're going to listen, they're going to take it in, and they're going to make the necessary adjustments. So those are my tips for dealing with a micromanager. If you've had a Bob in your life and you've had to deal with that scenario, let me know how you dealt with it. Write it in the comments or send me an email at caroline@corporateescapeartist.com. I'd love to hear your story. And I'll have more information on this topic on my blog at corporateescapeartist.com. I'm also on Facebook Live every Wednesday at 12 o'clock Central Time, so you can find me there. Otherwise, you can always contact me at caroline@corporateescapeartist.com if you or somebody you know is looking to escape the corporate life and their 9-to-5 so they can find more fulfillment working for themselves. And so until next time, I will see you soon. Thanks for joining, everyone.